Is Pastor Thomas on the line?
Apparently not.
Yeah, I don't see him. See her.
Let me see. She's not in the weight room either.
Remember, we're live now.
Okay, Mr. Courtney. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just want to welcome each and every one this evening to our natural health enthusiast meetup. This is an outreach ministry from the Downers Grove SDA Church where we come online every second Tuesday, I believe it is, every second Tuesday, and where we meet and we talk about natural health and how to improve our health. I'm your host this evening, Donald Hall. I'm filling in for our fearless leader, Mr. Michael Campbell. He wasn't able to make it this evening, but this evening promises to be a very good and informative session. So just sit back, relax, and we'll be able to give you a good program. Mr. Barry, your time for the intro.
Do you ever feel the need for more energy, vitality, and a greater sense of well being? Then stay tuned. We are natural health enthusiasts with yet another delicious recipe of best practices and holistic lifestyle health. Our natural health planners, sponsors, presenters, and friends compile and share the simple. Do you ever feel the need for more energy, vitality, and a greater sense of well being? Then stay tuned. We are natural health enthusiasts with yet another delicious recipe of best practices and holistic lifestyle health. Our natural health planners, sponsors, presenters, and friends compile and share the simplest, most natural discoveries and practices targeted to restoring and maintaining energy, as well as a sense of well being that we all want in our daily lives. It has been said that health is a state of complete harmony of the body, mind, and spirit. Therefore, through the practice of the 8 laws of natural health, integrated with evidence based research, we see a world empowered by Christ's love that is passionately seeking to be its healthiest in body, mind, and soul. And that's why we're so glad you've chosen to be here. Join us each month to help us celebrate the Creator for the resources and knowledge that consistently optimize His gift of natural healing in our bodies. We thank our hosts at the All Nations Fellowship Seventh-day Adventist Church in partnership with Community Outreach Incorporated for providing this one-of-a-kind opportunity that helps us all live healthier tomorrow than we are today, every single day. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your Natural Health Meetup presenting team for this life-enhancing edition.
Amen, amen. So there you go. That was our intro introducing you to exactly what we do here at Natural Health Enthusiasts. And one of the things that we pride ourselves in is recognizing the blue zones that are around the world. We recognize that there is about 5 blue zones around the world, and the blue zones, if you never heard about them, are areas around the world that tend to have people that live to 100. We call them centurions. And right here in the US, we have one right over in Loma Linda. And there's one in Japan, in Greece, in Italy, and in Costa Rica. So the intention of this group is to create what we call a virtual blue zone, right? And at the end of our presentation this evening, we're going to be placed into a mixer, and that mixer is where we're going to be able to have conversation, dialogue, get in tune with our presenter, ask questions, and they will be able to give a little idea as to how we can live our lives where we can achieve those milestones of living, to become a centurion. So I hope you guys stick around for that. I just want to give a disclaimer at this time that informations that are presented in this meetup is just for informational purposes. If you may go consult your doctors before you try anything that is mentioned here this evening. Okay, for the purpose of this evening, we're going to be continuing with our conversation on brain health. So for this evening, we're going to be talking about the five dimension of brain health. Almost no one is talking about. So this evening, we're going to be talking about it. And I think this is our second,
Third.
this is our third uh, shot at this, where we're going to be talking about this. So this one promises to be a very interesting conversation. I'm so excited for our presenter, Dr. Rick and Dr. Donnie, that will be going through this evening to present on this topic for us. But before we do so, I would like to have our fearless pastor, Pastor Thomas, if you're on the line, to go ahead and have an opening prayer for us at this time, if you don't mind. And I believe she's not there. With that being said, I'll go ahead and have our opening prayer. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for your grace and your mercy that is new to us every day. Thank you for this opportunity that you have given unto us, where we can come online this evening, oh God, wherever we may be around the world, to discuss matters of health. Lord, I pray that as we meet this evening, that you will illuminate our minds. Lord, it's so ironic that we're talking about brain health this evening, oh God. So I pray that you'll let us leave here, oh God, with the opportunity for our minds to be enhanced so that we can be more in tune to receive what you have in store for us. Be with us, oh Father, like never before. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. I just want us to be aware of our Facebook group that we have here at Natural Health Enthusiasts. At this Facebook group, you're able to see all of our previous presentations that we have had. Very informative. I would really advise our guests here to go and check out our Facebook group, and because you'll be blessed with the amount of information that we have there for you. Also, you're here this evening. We just want to welcome each and every one, but we would like to stay connected with you. So on our Facebook page as well, you could stay connected with us. On our meetup page, you could stay connected with us. But also at the All Nation Fellowship SDA Church, you could Google that. All Nation SDA 7-Day Church in Downers Grove, Illinois. You could connect with them and they will be able to get you in fellowship and have you into a church community. At this time, without further ado, I'm going to turn over the rest of our program to Mr. Rick and Mr. Donnie for our presentation. Thank you and be blessed.
Thank you so much, Don. We really appreciate it. Good night, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Maybe there'll be some that are coming from various parts of the world. We are so glad
Don,
to
stop sharing.
see you this. Pardon? We're so glad to see you this evening. And I hope, as I've said before, you have arrived here with a pencil or pen and a notebook to take notes, because this is going to be a very, very wonderful conversation this evening. Before we get to Dr. Rick, I have the pleasure of working with an individual who is so smart. She is so gifted, and the subject matter for this evening ties into her experience, not just as an educator, but also as a mother. She is Patty Serrano, and she works at Spencerville Academy, as well as the Columbia Union here in the state of Maryland. And I'd like her to share some of her story, because this will tie into what we're talking about, brain health, and understand the dimensions of the body, the mind, and how it has impacted one's faith, one's walk with God. So, Patty, good evening and welcome to Natural Health Enthusiasts.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, we're so glad you're here. We know you've had a long day, so we won't keep you too long, but we do have a few questions to ask of you, and I hope you're ready for them.
Yes.
Wonderful. Um, to begin with, Patty, can you tell us a little bit about your family makeup? How many
I have three
children?
boys. My oldest is 17, my second born is 14, and my little one is 8 years old. And they're all students here at the school where I work.
All right, all right. Well, let's just jump right in. The hour is late, and we want to get to the meat of it. One of your children, I believe, has a learning challenge. How did you discover this? And what is it, if you're able to share?
Sure. So my oldest has been diagnosed with autism, Asperger's, to be more precise. But my middle child and my oldest are both have been diagnosed with ADHD. And this happened around 2 years ago when they both were diagnosed.
Okay, okay. Why did you decide to even have them evaluated in the first place? Did you see something? Did they come home and say, Mom, my teacher says that I have...
No, I noticed because normal. But they thought that they were just young boys and that they needed to be active. So in the classroom, that was very challenging because they could not sit still, they could not keep up with assignments, with deadlines, highly distracted. I remember my older one, as he got older, the hyperactivity started to decrease, but he was always daydreaming. He was
Okay.
always highly distracted in the classroom. My middle child, it's taken him a little longer to not be so hyperactive, but he is highly distracted, and both of them suffered a lot academically.
Mm. Tell me, when you saw these signs, even before going to the teacher, or maybe a little bit after speaking with the teacher, did you attempt to discover reasons yourself as to why this was happening?
Yes, since the pediatrician didn't feel like it was something to be tested or to pursue, um, it came across more as discipline problems, perhaps that
Mm,
I wasn't strict enough with them in teaching them how to behave or what was appropriate or inappropriate in a classroom setting. Um, so I tried a lot of parental approaches at home
sure.
and being strict with them when it came to you, this is how you need to behave, you need to make sure that you listen and this and that. But I
Mm,
remember that my middle child, when he was in pre-K 4, one day he said to me, Mommy, I wish I could be good as a little girl in my
oh,
class. And I said, but why? Because since she doesn't get in trouble, she gets to read during nap time. And I don't like to nap, and I have to be laying down, and I want to read. So
mm,
then that got me very concerned that he was seeing himself as a bad student, as a bad
yes.
child. And then as they got older, and due to their missing assignments and losing papers and missing deadlines that were announced in the classroom, forgetting so many things and start affecting them academically,
Mm-hmm.
they started to see themselves as less smart because they didn't have the grades that their peers had.
Mm, mm. Wow, thank you for that, for sharing that. When you finally got the diagnosis, what did you do next?
So before I got that diagnosis, both of them suffered from severe anxiety and depression.
Oh, wow.
And for my middle child, we ended up in the hospital because he was imagining things, panic attacks. Um, and they thought that he had appendicitis because of the stomach pains that he was suffering from. And in the end, they found out that it was nothing that was causing it, just anxiety.
Mm.
But when they told him that perhaps he needed surgery for appendicitis, he started crying because he told me he thought he was going to die. So these recurring thoughts of death for both of them got very severe. So I went to a psychologist, and they were diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression. They were placed on medication. And then the psychologist did testing and realized that they both had ADHD that was triggering the anxiety and
Right.
therefore the depression. So
Mm, mm. Wow. Your mother's heart, I would imagine, began to twist even more the more you find out, or the more you realize or observe, the deeper you go and the more you realize something is wrong over and over. Well, tell me, what changes have you implemented or are you working on during this time in your home specifically?
well, with the help of the medication, the boys are doing much better emotionally, um, and spiritually too, because by seeing themselves or perceiving themselves as bad in any way, students, children, sons, um, that affects their spiritual life
Yes.
because they feel like, why did God make me like this? Why am I, I don't know, standing out because I'm bad all the time? So, but now it's much better emotionally for them. I try to keep them physically active because that helps them a
Wonderful.
lot. We try to stay away from sugar as much as possible.
Mhm.
Uh, get them to get their sleep because one of their outs has been playing video games because they feel rewarded, because they feel a part of a group, because they feel accepted. But that was affecting their sleep cycle because then they were so wired up they couldn't sleep or they were having bad dreams. So their sleep, we're really working on that so they can get at least 10 hours of sleep. That's my goal.
Wonderful.
Um, and going outside whenever possible when we have a nice day, going out as a family,
Mm.
that truly is helping them. And then of course taking them to church, but not just so much that so that their presence, I want them to be there to look for a blessing from the Lord, to see what God has to say to them. So taking them to Sabbath school and having them enroll in Pathfinders and then staying for the whole sermon so they can hear and sing and give their offering and give their tithe. Um, those are things that we have been purposefully doing.
Wonderful, wonderful. I just want to congratulate you on all that you've accomplished with them. I know your boys, and they have a great conversation with me. When I see them in the halls, they're always smiling. You've raised some wonderful young men. Before we close, I have maybe two more questions, and some of the audience might be wanting to ask this question. Um, do you think, or did you think in the past that vaccination could have been something that could have caused, or did you have a conversation with others in regards to possible causes of this? And how
Yes,
did
that
you
crossed
over?
my mind. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying,
That
and how did you overcome that and say,
Okay, that crossed my
making this?
mind when my firstborn was very, very young because I read and I heard about the possible connection between vaccines and autism. So I was frightened. But
Mhm.
then I started to weigh, do I want them to be at risk for catching polio and mumps and rubella and all these things? And I was vaccinated. So many of us were vaccinated, and we don't have autism. So I decided to give them their vaccines. Um, I don't know. I honestly don't know where this came from. I've analyzed our family members, and I can see some traces of that in some people. I just feel like our education system is not designed for children that struggle at all with any of these. So we have to find ways to get them to calm down. and get them to follow procedures and get them to follow. And at this point is with medication, because in the summertime, they're different kids. They're happy. They're happy,
Yes, yes.
relaxed. So
You know, I just wanted to end with this, Patty. I'm sure you are doing what many thousands upon thousands of parents are doing, and that is taking it one day at a time. You know that as the scriptures say, my grace is sufficient. Come unto me, all he that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So, my hat's off to you. You have three young men, and they're growing into themselves and into what God is calling them to be. And I just want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. You don't have to stay. I know you've had a long day already, but we are blessed to have heard your story. And maybe in the chat, somebody can just do a clap of hands or goodbye. Thank you so much, Patty.
thank
As
you.
we transition, friends, this is ideally what we are talking about. So, for too long, there has been terms being tossed around about mental health, right? For years, for many, many years. And we wonder to ourselves, is something wrong? Um, we have catchwords, mental disorder, catchwords like um, whether it's autism or some of the words that you heard this evening. So what we want to talk to you this evening about is helping you to understand the three ideas that we want clearly understood as it relates to mental health. Because we believe when God created man, he had a plan, right? He had a plan. He had a master plan. And somewhere along the line, after sin came in, um, these issues between the body, the nerve, um, and the brain became dysfunctional. All right. And so we want to try this evening, as this is our third and possibly our last for a while, discussion on mental health, to bring to you three issues that we want you to identify. If you do have a pen and paper, please write them down. As a teacher, I'm telling you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about it, and then I'll repeat what we said we were going to talk about to make sure you have it. So here are the three. I'm giving them to you in advance. First, the structural damage or the effects of poor blood flow. Okay, structural damage that can happen in the body in regards to blood flow and the problems with that. That's the first one. The second one is this, bad chemistry. Okay, so the first one is poor blood flow. The second one is poor blood content. So bad chemistry, if you want to write down bad chemistry. And then the last one, I hope you're not surprised at this last one, but it's thoughts, right? Your thoughts and words. Your thoughts and words. These three affect the body. By default, it affects the mind, right? Or the brain, because the brain is part of the body. And so we want to thrust into this with our dear friend, Dr. Rick, who's been with us for so many years. Dr. Rick, thank you so much for being here. You've heard Patty's story. And as we get deeper in, we want to just have you share some insights on these three issues, the structural damage, bad chemistry, and harmful thoughts and words, and how it interplays with our neurological disorders. Welcome, Dr. Rick.
Well, thank you, Dr. Danny. I was listening with rapt attention to Sister Patty and talk about the heartache that so many mothers and fathers have with their children and the labeling that goes with that and the stigma that can go with that. And I would have to say, and you have to, I say to all the people who are with us, grab hold of your table in front of you or the chair, because some things that we will bring to the front can be a little uncomfortable, okay? Um, and with that being said, let me say the first one. Okay. Uh, we are talking about disease as if there are areas of our body that operate from the rest of our body. Okay. So mental health, we talk about as if it has nothing to do with the rest of us,
Right.
which is a concept promoted by doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, where they talk about talking through these issues and such, not understanding that. And I listened carefully to what was being said. Sister Patty brought up a number of things that actually touch upon the solution and the problem. Did you notice when she talked about her sons having errant thoughts or depression or um, stomach aches, poor appetite? All of these things are really ringing loud and clear that this is a physical problem that's manifesting itself in our mental organization or
In a
lack thereof.
neurological way.
Okay. So that's a real important thing, because the primary thing, if we had to put this down into simplest terms, we're talking about communication. And really, these types of disorders really come to how does the body communicate with the brain, and how does the brain communicate with the body. So when you see these things, and it's interesting that doctors really don't come up with better things, but that's a whole nother subject. So for depression, anxiety, they give them SSRIs. They call them serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Okay. SSRIs. Okay. Why is that interesting? The first thing that they find that helps the children is to give them antidepressant, or these SSRIs, which simply, if you could see the action of these drugs in the brain, they go and block the receptors in the brain for serotonin. And so, not allowing that serotonin to be recycled, so to speak, it allows the serotonin to stay in the brain and give some semblance of balance and calming effect and all of that, which is interesting. They're dealing with this mental problem by affecting the physical structure of the brain. So that tells you this is more than a mental problem, right? So in our solutions, what we want to do is build a strategy that doesn't block how the body wants to work. The body says, look, we want to allow your body to carry on its mechanisms the way God intended.
Right, naturally.
So your body has a way of making serotonin. Okay. How does it do that? Most people can answer that. Believe it or not, a lot of doctors couldn't answer that either. And I say that not to be inciting an argument, but I say that to say you have to study and advocate for yourself. Okay. So the one of the mechanisms we said from last time was that the food that you eat goes and is digested and metabolized in your stomach first, then your gut, your colon, if we want to use that word. And then that is where over 90% of the serotonin is made in your body. Okay. So your gut, God has already given a way for you to make that serotonin. You don't have to block anything. You don't have to stop the mechanism from working. You just have to clear the communication lines between what the gut is doing in production of those things like serotonin, other neurotransmitters, and allow it to be released to the brain so that the brain says, wow, I have that. Interestingly enough, she said, oh, I take them outside and I let them stay active. That helps a lot, she said. Why? Because exercise stimulates the release of serotonin
Ah.
and GABA. Okay. So it's not that serotonin alone is going to be a solution to this. It is the balance of the neurochemicals. And so I'm not going to redo what we went through last time, but I do want to have you understand that this is the first disappointment that most parents have is not getting a clear understanding of what causes these issues.
Right. What's going on in the body and
What?
also the mind.
Yes.
Dr. Rick, I want to just give a quick disclaimer. Some people may think that they're coming here tonight in hopes of getting a what is called a hack, right? They see a problem and they want a quick, direct solution, but we're not about that. We're about whole health and understanding the interworkings between the body, between the mind, and between the spirit. Is that correct?
Yeah. So just put it in this way, Dr. Danny. If someone you caught them hacking into your car, would you be happy or would you be sad or would you
Upset?
be angry?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
God does not want us to hack into the system.
All
He
right.
wants us to learn about the system and then cooperate with that. I'm
Mm.
telling you, and this is a bold statement, we can understand the mechanism well enough to improve these situations. That's
Okay.
where we want to get to.
Okay.
Okay.
And now, friends, if you again have your writing utensil, I'm going to give you 5 things that you'll be hearing us focus on this evening. The first one is mindset. If you want to write that down, your mindset. Next one, sorry, Marlene. Okay. The next one is diet and herbs. Diet and herbs. The next one is movement. And Sister Patty talked about that, right? Getting the boys outside and movement. And then the last two are somewhat similar, but there's a nuance of a difference. It's restoration, and then finally, it's rest. It's rest. We want to explain this to you now. And so, Dr. Rick, do you want us to start with mindset?
So we can. I mean, that is our starting point, but it's also our arrival point.
That is
right?
correct. We'll get there.
We got to this situation and talking about this problem because there's something in the mindset that's off balance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we want to bring balance to this area, but we have to constantly remember. And the reason I started out with this is most people do not understand the power of your mind and your mindset. Okay. We think about things like diabetes or high blood pressure or other things.
Mm-hmm.
And we think, oh, what food do I need? What, what, what herb do I take? Not knowing that probably the most powerful, let me put it this way, influencer to your health is how your mind works.
Wow.
And I'll let that sink in.
Well, that reminds me. I was speaking with a friend of mine, and she had a question about that. I'm not sure if Serena is nearby. Serena,
Yes, yes, I'm here.
yeah. What is your question in regards to this?
Yeah, because I've read that thinking, our thinking affects our brain chemistry, and I also it affects it, causing some neurochemical changes, and then when I read the Bible, I also read in Proverbs, I think chapter 18, that talks about how our words have tremendous impact. So our words have the power of life and death. That's really powerful. So my question will be, what are the effects our thoughts and words have on our brain chemistry? And then followed by that, I would like to know, how can we feed our minds in ways that would improve mood and attention?
Thank you.
Okay. So first let me take you back to the cartoons. I know we've all seen the cartoons, right? Where there's a kid over here that has a can up to his ear,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a kid over there that has another can to their ear. What's between them?
That string,
The string, the rope, the
the yarn.
fiber, okay? So here's what's happening. For the cans, we're talking about vibrational energy. So energy is a physical thing. It
Yes.
vibrates through that cord and resonates in the receiver from the person that's talking to the person that's listening. So your brain is the talking part, so to speak, right? For this illustration.
Mm-hmm.
Then the nerves, they're called cranial nerves, but particularly the vagus nerve that comes down from about right here in your brain and it comes all the way into the body. But the 10th nerve, which is the major nerve bundle, is your vagus nerve. Okay. This vagus nerve has over 100,000 nerve fibers in these bundles, each on each side. Okay. So that's like the string between the two cans. Okay. The neurotransmitters of that are produced in the colon
Mm-hmm.
are what allows us to have clear communication. If there is no communication and there's no blood, communication ceases, you're dead. Okay? But the neurotransmitters, if something interrupts that, and we talked about that last time, things like coffee, things like chocolate, things like sodas, then what that does is make noise so the brain can't understand what the body is saying and the body can't understand the brain. So thinking bad thoughts, having guilt, having anger, having fear are not just emotions. They drive our body into doing physical things
Mm.
to release or stop the release of neurotransmitters. So when I get angry and I say, why did Dr. Danny not call me in sooner? I had so much to say and he didn't call me. He didn't even recognize my hand. I am angry about that. Do you realize your body is saying, shut off communication, do not digest food, do not constrict the blood vessels? It's sending all these signals that you don't know about. And unless something happens to interrupt that, then the brain just kind of isolates the conversation. It's just like a husband or wife. They have a problem, and one of them saying, I'm just not going to talk about this. And then what happens? Damage occurs because the longer you don't talk about it, more mechanisms shut down. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to the store and I'm just not going to tell them where I'm going. In a sense, that's what happens with autism, so to speak. The body is not communicating clearly with the brain. And so mindset is a part of that. When there's no communication, neurotransmitter wise, you can talk to an autistic person till you're blue in the face. It will do little good.
Wow.
Because the communication that they need most is neurotransmitter communication, not verbal communication. Sorry, psychologists.
That's heavy because, excuse me, when I think about it, oftentimes, and I've seen this in my life as an educator, some young people, some older people, they just repeat over and over negative thoughts. Oh, I'm such a this, or I can't do this, or I'm not like somebody else. And it's just a repetition of negative thoughts. And so that leads me to this question about thoughts and habits. The routine and the consistency. Dr. Jasmine, have you faced this, or has this been an issue that you have questioned?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Danny. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, definitely have faced this. Wondering actually how the habit formation or consistency impact our brain, because we live in a society where we have I heard that term, right? Our habits determine our future, right? Our habits determine our future. How does that impact our brain health and protecting our brain?
So Dr. Jasmine, if you will allow me, and I hope you won't be mad, I'm going to modify the quote that you have. Our habits modify our present, then our present actions determine our future direction.
Write it down, friends. Write it down.
Okay. I'm not going down that lane,
Can you
but I
repeat that,
just
Dr.
had
Rick?
to put that out there.
Can you repeat that?
See,
they're asking for you to repeat it, Dr. Rick.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
The things that we do, the only power that I have is the present moment.
Right now.
Okay? But the present moment gives direction to my future. Right? So it's almost like when I say, man, I'm going to go to the store. You already see yourself at the store buying things, but guess what? You left your keys in the kitchen drawer. That wrecked everything you had in your mind about what you're going to do in the future, because the present wasn't prepared. So here's the thing. for an autistic child, what do? They help them deal with the present circumstance that prepares them for what they need to do going forward. Same thing for us. If there's your brain has little neurons, okay, over 100 million neurons, and in the enteric nervous system is 100 million neurons. It's like a tree and the roots, right? So if your actions are something you don't want to change, you don't want it to be, man, I don't know why I just fly off the handle every time. What you do is what? Slow you down the present. Make yourself more aware of the present situation and say, that person cut me off. What if they're going to the hospital and they just weren't thinking as clearly as they should? What if they have an emergency? What if they're thoughtless? Will I lose my control because of their thoughtlessness?
Mm-hmm.
You see, I have to confront the present so that I can prepare myself to deal with the future. So that's a three-dimensional thing, Dr. Jasmine. Look, it is, there's preparation I need to do in my body for the present. One of them is sleep, right? Our guest mentioned that. She said, I found if they don't sleep, wow, it's a wrap. So sleep is one of those preparations. Not eating things that cause noise, and we're going to talk about that in the next section. And then also exercise. You people do not burn out because they work themselves to death. That's not usually why the brain works out. It's an overload of energy that is stored up by your thinking. And the brain has so much energy that, and you give it no outlet. But once you get up and say, wow, I've been thinking at my desk for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour and a half. Let me take 15 minutes and walk down to the end of the hall slowly and do that a couple of times. Guess what? Now the answer comes to me. Why? Because I'm allowing the brain to release some of the energy into the body that needed activation. It's the same on the other end that we call diabetes. When we are eating fuel, and that fuel can't go into the cell says, oh, that sugar should be over here. The body says, okay, I'll save that. And guess where it saves it? As fat. It stores it as fat because it's the same as thoughts that get stored and overloads the body. The same thing happens with food. It gets stored and overloads the body. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Dr.
Yes,
Danny,
sir.
you're
It's powerful.
Yeah, I was saying as we were talking about food, that's a great transition because, you know, although we are speaking in generalities, we want to also give some good solutions. And we are told that we need to make sure we eat the right foods at the right time, with the right amount, right? Timing, patterns, and things like that. What do you say, Dr. Rick? Why is a right diet at the right time with the right amount supportive to brain clarity?
Okay, so real quick, think about the first time mental illness became an issue in this world. Can you think of the first time?
Do we go back to the book of Genesis?
We go back to, you know me, I'm going back to the book of Genesis, right?
All right, explain for the audience.
Adam and Eve were doing fine until the wrong food was eaten. And then they lost their minds,
They lost their mind.
right? I mean, once he ate that, he started blaming Eve. You know, God, if you had not given me this woman, boy, I would have been all right. I would have done just fine. And Eve she lost her mind. She says, wow, God, if you had not made that serpent over there,
Mm-hmm.
I would be good. Blame, guilt. They felt paranoid about who's watching me, who's looking at me. They knew they were naked.
They probably felt that they were also going to die.
They felt like death was imminent. This is the same thing. See, we don't see, and someone put, and shame. These are the same forces that get released when we do not mentally pair up our expectations with our actions. Okay? Foods and herbs, and I'm speaking very broadly,
Right?
prepare the way for you to do just that by eating fresh, unprocessed food like, uncut, steel cut oats, right? You don't want the instant oats. You want, as far as possible, low processed grains. Those are the things that have the short chain fatty acids like butyrate, propionate, acetate. Those are things that your gut lining loves. And then it easily produces the things that help communication in our brain. So diet is literally food for the body and food for the brain.
All right.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just, I'm going to eat my way and be healthy and strong. No, you are preparing communication between your body and your brain. The same food that builds the muscles, right? That contain the sugars that the muscle needs. Oh, I saw somebody. And contains the sugars that only the brain can use are the same things that feed the body. God is a genius.
So Dr. Rick, I want the perfect diet. You can't give that to me?
So there is an ideal diet. I will say we are as different as our fingerprints, right? So everybody, you're not gonna, I see these tight diet regimen. Do this for 30 days and you will lose 45 pounds guaranteed. That when you hear stuff like that, just slowly turn the volume down on whatever you're listening and going about what you're doing. Okay? Because listen, if we were all the same, then standardized medicine or standardized approach would work. Every apple is different. Every apple, every orange has a different amount of vitamin C in it. There's no standardized thing, but there is an approach. The Bible diet is carbohydrate rich, okay? It has grain in it, nuts and seeds. It's low calorie, naturally, not artificially. It has low protein, naturally, not artificially. Okay? Protein only comes from plants. I'm not going to get into that. Animals eat plants, and that's why you get protein from animal foods. So food has its place, And the pattern for the meals should be